All right, magic makers. Today I try to keep my podcast undated, but I feel like I'm going to talk about summer, but I also feel like this is a podcast that you can come back to whenever you have those times when you're like, "Oh, I'm so off track," holidays, coming back from vacation and all of that. And ideally, I want to be able to minimize our big highs and our big lows, and I know that that's a challenge. Recently I just got back from a 2-week vacation, and it wasn't this like re-entry process. I got off the plane on Friday, went to the grocery store on Saturday, went to the gym on Saturday, and was just back in the flow. And I know for many people that's like not a thing. And ideally, that's what I'm looking for you to get to. Get to the point where you are just, this is just your life, right? There's no heavy lifting. It's just you found that flow. And that's really the goal, is to find that flow, that effortless flow that like, this is just my life, right? That you're not feeling like, oh, it's so hard. I must do this. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's just like, no, this is how I do. This is who I am. And so I've come up with 7 ways to help you stay on track this summer. Now, I get summer that for many of us, routines change. We might be driving our kids around more. The kids might be around more. And, you might not be able to slip out for the gym as often as you'd like. Uh, Maybe you're traveling more, heading to the beach, the lake, whatever it is that you do, longer days. Some of you do great with the heat, some of you just can't be bothered with the heat. So, here are 7 ways that you can help yourself to stay on track. Now, I know some of you might be listening in the car, listening while you work out. I've created an action guide that's pretty packed full of ways to really incorporate these 7 things into your life. So if you are on the go, just head over to the show notes and you'll be able to grab it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is hydration. The biggest thing in summer is that, we all know the regardless of where you live on the planet, unless you're listening to me in Australia, the temperature increases, and so that makes us sweat more. And so really hydration is even more important in hydration is important year round, but even more important in the summer. So really start by filling up your water bottle. And I know everyone's got some fancy water bottle that they got that, you can leave in the car for 4 hours and it could still keep cold. Use that thing. And one of the biggest leg ups that I do for drinking my water, the goal here is to see if we can drink anywhere from 72 to 100 ounces of water. And one of the biggest ways that I do to try to get in as much water as possible is that I fill a water bottle and I leave it in my bathroom. And I drink that water while I'm getting dressed. And so while I'm getting dressed, I'm drinking that water bottle so that I have water before I have a cup of coffee. Now, before I can have my second cup of coffee, I need to drink another glass of water. So it's water, coffee, water. And the other thing that is crucial at this time is electrolytes, because at this time of the year, what you could find is that if we're working out, you might need to find an increase in a balance of our salt. And for years, so many people are like, I avoid salt. Salts are what helps you to retain the water. So unless you're someone who has been told specifically from your doctor, salt is not evil here. And so we want to make sure that we're having some electrolytes into our life. Electrolytes have potassium, sodium, magnesium, and you can get electrolytes through fruits and vegetables, coconut water. I have a great electrolyte that I use that's sugar-free and tastes amazing. And if the link is also in the show notes for that, there are plenty of like electrolyte mocktails that you can find out there that use like orange juice and lemon juice and water, and you put it together. If you are one of my Martha Stewart types that are listening to the show. The second thing is finding the balance, right? The balance between carbs, protein, and fat. And carbs are not the devil. So many people, like, oh, I'm carb free. Carbs are your body's primary source of energy, right? So it's fruits, it's vegetables, it's beans, it's grains, starchy vegetables. They're what is really going to give you that energy for your physical activity. They help you think, great for your central nervous system. It just overall helps your body function. Protein. Some of us, you hear, fitness pros talk about protein. It is what builds and repairs your muscle, including your brain, your organs, your cells. And so hormone production. So one of the main things why we want protein so much in your body is that the more protein I have in my body, the more satiated I am. The more satiated I am, the less likely I am to have cravings, right? Less likely I am to be hungry because it takes a long time for your body to digest protein. Also, good fats. They give long-term energy. They also protect our organs. They protect our brain, and they help us to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. So protein, carbs, and fat, it's all about finding that right ratio for you. And I wish it was this kind of like set it and forget it thing. But it's like each person needs a specific kind of ratio for that. And so no one needs to do this on their own. You know, I'm sure there's that special snowflake out there who can do it on their own, but then there's also people who just need a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of guidance. And it's not just what you eat, but how you eat. So we really want to optimize on eating more whole foods and really just taking a look at our packaging. Many people will just send me the like how many like carbs, fats, protein it has in it on the label, but I'm actually looking at the ingredients of that package. And when you look at the ingredients, that first ingredient, that is what it contains the most of. So like the first 2 to 3 are like, make up almost 70 to 80% of the product. So take a look at those packages and realize that, we're looking for more whole foods that don't really need a package is what you're looking for. Now, this one is one that you probably won't hear many people talk about, and it is gut health. And you might have heard something. I have done a podcast on it, and I'll attach it here in the show notes. But the big thing with gut health is that it's been called your second brain. And in it, the goal is to see if we can have enough biodiversity. And so for those of you who sometimes eat meals and you feel a little bit bloated, you feel a little bit gassy, you just feel like off, um, it is your gut health that could be causing these problems. So the main focus here is how do we start to incorporate some of these prebiotic, probiotic foods that can help really even out our our gut our gut garden. And it's not just having Activia. Like, don't even get me started on that. That's just pure utter fucking marketing. But thinking about more fermented foods like kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, kombucha, but be mindful kombucha, for a lot of it, it does have a lot of sugar in it. So just be mindful of kombucha. And then also those prebiotic rich fibers. So onions, garlics, leeks, asparagus, bananas, berries, grains, and beans. And then, you hear this all the time. We're talking about NEAT, right? Non-exercise movement. And for many of us, we think the going hard at the gym is the end all be all. However, research shows that it is only a fraction of how calories get burned. The primary mover for you is moving around, because for many of you, myself included, I never realized this till COVID hit, that I was very stationary, like unless I'm teaching a class that I could easily throw out 20,000 steps a day, I went to like 3,000 steps a day. So the key here is to look at how many steps you're doing, right? How can we add in more movement? And if you're someone who is doing less than 5,000 steps right now, can we look at it and say, can you add 500 more steps this week? Then we could add another 500 and slowly so that we get somewhere between 75 and 10,000 steps. The focus is just movement. Do I need to get one of those walking treadmills underneath my desk? Yeah, if that brings you joy. But can you get outside for like 10 minutes and just go for a lap around the block? It doesn't have to be a power walk. Just walk with stroll. That's what I'm looking for. Just stroll. Then we have strength training. The big thing with strength training, it is the holy grail for those of us who are over 40 and looking to change the composition of our body. Strength training is it. And for many of us, 2 to 3 times a week, a full body workout is paramount. When we have more muscle on our body, we're able to build more calories, we're able to give our metabolism a nice boost. And, no one wants to think down the line, like 30, 40 years from now, if I start to get this into a rhythm and I have muscle on my body, acts of daily living will stay easy, right? You won't think about getting off the toilet, lifting a gallon of milk. Like those things, those are the things that, 70 plus year old people struggle with. And I don't want that to be for you, right? So lift those weights. And so heavy is relative. I want you to think about the last 2 to 3 reps are challenging but doable. And then at least every 4+ weeks, you are increasing the weight. And if you're someone who struggles with trying to find a progressively overloaded workout, in my Fit Girl Magic Society, every single month you get a new workout that is mapped out for an entire year. And in that workout, you have 3 different workouts that really hit your upper, your lower, and a total body workout. For those of you who are just looking for something to do that's not going to Pinterest or going to Instagram and finding the latest Instagram influencer, or maybe you're going to classes and you just want something to do on the side. The other thing is cardio, right? For so many years, we were told cardio sucks or cardio is the only way to go. It's finding that hybrid. So we have those walks, right, that we talked about, but it also finding a way to really boost in the HIIT. Now, HIIT is very controversial here because me going hard for 45 minutes is me going hard for 45 minutes. True HIIT, it's like about 20 to 30 minutes max. And it's me going hard for like 1 minute and then recovering, going hard for 90 seconds, recovering, going hard for 30 seconds, recovering. So it's not this like go as hard as I can for 60 minutes, right? Those like for ladies over 40, those HIIT style workouts, doing them every day, they are not doing us any favors. We really need to think about doing those at least 1 to 2 times a week. And the rest are just really focusing on just getting our heart rate up so that we feel like we're working up, we can still hold that conversation. Now, the next 2 go hand in hand. And these are the 2 that I feel so many people blow off, right? And, this is in no particular order, but if I were to, rank these, the next 2 are top of the hill, top notch. Sleep and stress. Okay. And if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, I am big on sleep and stress. And, I don't know about you, but everything feels off for me when I don't get a good night's sleep. I know that I'm cranky. I don't have 0 patience, and I'm snacky. And so one of the big things that I challenge everyone is to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. And that means, whatever time you have to get up, counting forward to being like, this is when I need to go to bed. And ideally, you're going to bed within one to like I'll go 90 minutes each and every day, including on weekends. And so one of the ways to kind of start to get into this rhythm is to create a bedtime routine. And, I love routines. And so it's like, what is going to help you to calm down and kind of land the plane? And I want you to think about when you had children, or if you don't have children, um, you've seen some elaborate, excuse me, some elaborate children bedtime routines where there's tubby time and the stuffed animals have to be in a certain position and there's X number of stories in a certain order. How about you do that for you, right? I keep it really simple. I like to read before I go to bed. I do breath work right as I'm falling asleep. Some of you can take a shower, soak in a tub, whatever it is to start to signal in your body, hey, it's time to like power the engines down. Then we have stress. I'd be a rich woman for every time a client said to me, "Oh, that's just how my life is, Kim. That's just how it is." And so chronic stress adds up. For those of you fighting belly fat, and if you've taken the belly fat code program with me, you understand we talk about stress, and stress is just messes with your metabolic health because it's so easy for us to blow ourselves off, right? We put so much emphasis on doing things for other people, that stress just really just takes uh a toll on our body. And so and I've done several shows on stress management, and I can link them in the show notes. But one of the things I always tell people is that figure out what is stressing you out. Like name it. What is stressing you out? And I'm not saying we all have stressful periods, right? So maybe it is I used to be in sales. So the end of the month was stressful time for me. End of the quarter was stressful time for me. And so, the last 2 weeks of the month, I was a little stressed out, but then I was able to kind of like work my way out. And this is coming from a recovering stress ball. And so I had to learn ways other than being a live nerve, because I walked around with a bottle of Advil in my purse, some Tums, and NyQuil, because that was the only way I could sleep. And so I needed to get off that train. And the only way to do that was for me to start to figure out ways to better manage my damn sleep. I'm sorry, better ways to manage my stress. And it was really me saying what was stressing me out and just really kind of just sitting down and getting into my body and realizing how I was living my life was not helpful to me. So the first thing I had to do was start to set some boundaries around my time. I had to set some boundaries with work. I had to set boundaries with family obligations. I had to like minimize the alcohol. Uh, I was living on caffeine, minimize that. So it's not everything I'm talking here isn't an overnight fix, right? These are just kind of like, I want to plant these seeds that these are some of the big dial movers. Many of you will come to me with these little things like, how about beets? Can I have beets? And I'm like, okay, but what's the rest of your nutrition look like? Versus focusing specifically on beets. Or you'll ask me like, should I eat more or less at this time of the day, or that's my day? And I'm like, what does everything else look like? Because those are like what I call whipped cream challenges. If I'm not doing well with any of these 7 things, adding whipped cream is really, it's a nice to have. Like, let's see, will it move the dial? Possibly, but I know these 7 things will. I know if we work on these 7 things, you'll be able to get the results that you're looking for. And with that said, it has to start by being clear, right? It starts by, what is it that you're looking to achieve, so that we can know when you're finished. There's I don't know if you've ever created not created, if you ever did a house project, right? Like redid your kitchen or your bathroom or something like that. And what happens is it's called scope creep. So you start in your bathroom and you're like, we're going to redo the vanity and we're going to retile the floor. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, the walls look like shit. We're probably going to have to wallpaper those. And then you're like, oh, the toilet looks like crap next to the new vanity. We're going to have to redo the toilet. Oh, and the sink and the shower. So you're just like, it just snowballs. It goes from like what was like a simple project to now it's this big full blown bathroom redo. So the same thing happens for you when you're looking to lose weight. I see it all the time. And I'm like, be specific. What is the outcome you're looking for? Tone up. Well, what does tone look like for you? So that if you and I were working together, I would know when you've hit that goal or the goal that you're trying to get to, so that I can start looking at you and be like, okay, where can we start to, tweak things for you to get there and start to really get into, all of these things. What are the things that feel easy? How can you start to be consistent with it? And as you listen to this, I want you to kind of say, like, check, what are you already doing? Great. Rock on with your bad self. No need to focus on that. What aren't you doing? And of the aren't you doing, what feels the easiest to start? And we start there, even if it's just one thing, right? Because my overachievers, my, Girl Scout merit badge getters are like, I need to do all 7 right now. Just what feels easy. Like if I'm not getting 10,000 steps, does it feel easy for me to be like, yeah, I can box out 15 minutes and go for a walk? Or if I'm not sleeping, like, all right, yeah, you know what? I could try to start this bedtime thing. Like, just ask yourself, like, be honest. Don't be like, I could do it all, because you can't, right? You can't. There's a special snowflake out there who can just look at this and be like, boom, I'm off to the races. But if you're not that person, that's okay. And if you need a little extra support and help, let's have a conversation. Like, I'm dropping a link for my calendar. Let's have a 15-minute call just to see how you can get jump started for the summer. All right, magic makers. I hope this was informative. Again, you could always download this in the show notes. There's a link. And I will talk to you guys next week. So enjoy the rest of your day.